It's amazing to me to hear you're afraid of anything, Ann Coulter. Least of all, Dorian.
Watch MSNBC.
Oh, you might lose, but that'll go down, and that's you can watch it on your
Not if I have
device.
no power, and you get a big storm around here, and the power goes out.
It's not a big deal. It's fun. I love hurricanes.
Well, I'd like to be here for the storm. Did you hear the rain last night?
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah.
If I could just be here for the rain, I'd be fine, but I don't want to lose power.
No, I guess. But if
it were 6 hours, okay. And I knew it were going to be 6 hours. I knew it was going to be one day. I'd do it.
Right. But earthquakes in California don't scare you? That scares me.
No, those are fun.
Oh, jeez. I feel like the whole state is going to cave. First and foremost, because Ann Coulter's in the studio, and Ann Coulter is actually really a lawyer. I know that people forget that and just assume she's just another gorgeous talking head. But why are they not prosecuting Jim Comey after they found that he had violated FBI policy?
Well, this is why you should always hang on my every word.
Okay.
There were a lot of books out there that were as hysterical on the right as MSNBC was on the left. It's a conspiracy. He's combined with the Russians. And on our side, it's obstruction of justice to allow this to go on. No, it isn't. I mean, the truth is, and it's all in resistance, is futile. Comey is sleazy. That's why the one column I tweeted out today was the one making fun of Comey for going around, what was the name of his book? The Politics of Truth. Nice. All of those left-wing books, they always have integrity first. Oh, screw you.
Yeah, high morality.
And they're always the people with the least integrity. Why? Well, for one thing, they are people without integrity, but also the media is constantly luring everyone. Republicans, Democrats. I mean, look at this idiot Joe Walsh. Come to the dark side. Come to the dark side. Please say the things we want you to say, and we will hail you as a man of honor and truth. And that's just what they did to Comey.
Higher loyalty. That was
okay. There we go. There we go. And that's really what he's sleazy. He did violate department policy. The whole thing is rotten. But prosecute,
Not important enough?
Well, it's not so much not important. What exactly is the crime? It's going to end up being something petty like the things Mueller was prosecuting people for.
Yeah.
That no one has ever been prosecuted for. They were all process crimes. Same thing with Scooter Libby. It's never a crime that we're investigating and we found evidence on that crime. No, we're going to invent a crime, ask you a lot of questions, put you under oath, and if we can get somebody who says something else, or if you say it was sunny one day and it was actually raining and we can say that had something to do, that would have affected the investigation, we'll get you for lying to investigators. I mean, it's stunning how pretty much, other than Manafort, and that's a totally separate issue having nothing to do with Trump.
Papadopoulos and Flynn, what were their crimes?
Right, it was all lying to investigators, which, okay, you shouldn't lie to investigators. I'm not saying this is a good thing. You shouldn't do what Comey did and leak your own notes to a Columbia professor hoping to start an impeachment investigation on Russian collusion. The whole thing was nonsense. Now you have this Lawrence O'Donnell thing. Did you see? Lawrence, I know him. I'm not sure if I can say we are friends or we used to be friends in the era of Trump, but he's usually very careful about this stuff. He's not a stupid person, but they're just so ginned up on Trump, and you will mostly be rewarded. If you do hate watch MSNBC and CNN, it's like a competition. It's like a dinner party for who can say the most outrageous thing. And we got this guy this weekend saying Trump was worse than Mao, Stalin, and Hitler, and many more millions. What else can they say? He's Damien? He's Satan returned? But that's mostly what you hear on cable. So it was utterly sleazy what Comey did. But the books on our side that I'll only tell you off camera, but they were featured heavily on one particular cable newsweek or network, They were just as crazy. I mean,
Yes.
I read them, and they were just as crazy on our side that these are prosecutable crimes.
Right. Well, at the beginning of the program, I had Judge Janine was on the show because she's got another new book out there. And, it had just broken the story. And she said, well, I'd like to read it before I comment on it too much. She goes, but you didn't really expect there to be a prosecution over him giving those memos to a law professor and then being leaked to the New York Times.
Right. I do think, and I mean, this is a wild prediction to the future. I think Brennan could be in more trouble, and possibly a prosecutable crime.
Clapper too? Maybe.
Maybe. But mostly, what they are guilty of is absolute sleaziness, what we do not expect from government officials. They should be exposed and embarrassed for that. A prosecution, or at least for a lot of this stuff, let me put it that way.
What do you think of Andy McCarthy? Because I had him on earlier this week, and he is thoroughly convinced that you cannot have such a large-scale counterintelligence operation that the president doesn't know about. He just says he can't imagine that even being a possibility.
I think it's possible.
Is it? But certainly members of the administration close to the president had to know.
Some might have. I mean, bureaucracies. In this column I wrote yesterday, it was a Labor Day column giving holiday tips to readers over the 3-day weekend. Watch out for drunk driving, illegal aliens.
Oh, I saw that.
And I was going by the National Highway Safety Transportation. These bureaucracies, I'm making a point that is an answer to your question. The name had been changed from NHSB. It's now NH something other. And it took me like 10 minutes just to figure out, is this the same agency? Is one above the other? Mm-hmm. No, these bureaucracies, they become their own fiefdoms. And I think that's true at the FBI. I think they were running this thing. I mean, I don't think they thought Obama would say, no, don't do that. But no, they were just off on their own little jag.
It's frightening. Yeah, your new column I saw in Town Hall was, could I get all that illegal to go? Just a great way of putting it. Latinos are at greater risk of dying from driving while intoxicated, and I just wanted you to know that and be sympathetic towards them.
That was the craziest headline. And then I read the reports, and the reports are basically the same thing. I mean, you have to read through 90 pages, and finally on page 89, you'll get the statistics, because the first 89 pages are just on and on about it's not their fault, and and they spent more time in this report discussing whether they were going to call Latinos or Hispanics than they did just give us the statistics on this stuff.
And they are all taught in the early childhood to drink. It's macho and all the rest
that was
of that
around page 89. You finally get some facts, and not just when they make the country more diverse and vibrant, and it's surely white people's fault. No, we have page after page, and that's when I was thinking just what closeted, entrenched bureaucracies, they can go off on their own little thing, and they're all social justice warriors.
It's pretty scary. Well, listen, I'm loving the apology tour of the Democratic candidates who are running around the country apologizing for being white and apologizing for being men and apologizing for not being gay or for being... It's like Obama all over again.
Did you see this thing? They're going to do 7 hours on global warming.
Yeah. Did you see Beto threw Pollock out? Called him a racist and thought he'd upset the black students at Benedict. I've met his wife. She's as black as my husband. He's no racist.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that. And by the way, I reject that argument because I do not have a black spouse and I am not a racist. And look at somebody like Mark Epstein. He's half Asian, half Jewish. He's called a white supremacist. There is no defense. So I think the defense is just in the argument. This is stupid.
Pollock's an Orthodox Jew. Yeah,
but no, don't do the identity politics on our side. That's the Dems are the real racists. I'm not an Orthodox Jew. I'm not a racist. I don't have a biracial child. I hated that with the J.D. Vance stuff. Oh, but he's married to a... No. They don't care. They don't care. This is a stupid argument. That isn't what J.D. Vance was. I don't know if you know what the J.D. Vance saying. He was giving a speech saying, I mean, it was the Mark Stein argument about, actually a good version of the Mark Stein argument, which is a society that's not having children, getting married, having children, creating societies and civilization. It's a society that's depressed. He was comparing America to Europe, and how Europe, they don't see much future. We'll have one child, maybe half a child. It's not that we need more humans. What we need is more quality humans. Footnote, please change our immigration policy. But it is true that it does show a certain lack of optimism. That was the point J.D. Vance was making, that Americans are not replacing themselves. So this... I guess I can't say the C word on radio. Writing for the Washington Post, writes this up and changes Americans are not replacing themselves to whites are not replacing themselves. And what is conservatives' defense? How about, number one, that's not what he said. Number two, it's true. Number three, Democrats have artificially changed the demographics of this country for no reason. It's not just some natural process, for no reason other than that they couldn't get whites to vote for them, and they're trying to replace whites. So don't come at us when we say we don't like what you've done. But B, that, or C, whatever I'm on now, Q, that wasn't what J.D. Vance was even saying. But when they go to, but he's married to an African American and he has a black child. No, or not an African, an Indian American. I'm not married to a POC, person of color, to get down with the lingo. I'm not married to a POC. I don't have a biracial child. I'm not a racist. I'm not. Oh, and white nationalist? That is just an invented term from, the Marxists back in the 70s. They may as well start talking about the running dog lackeys. It's so crazy that they have foisted this word on the nation. And it's just a devil term invented to smear people and censor
make you
them.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's doing. Dan Stein from FAIR was talking yesterday with me about how, you can take it and I can take it when they call me a racist, but the average American can't take it. They go into shock. They go off. They stop social media. They can't talk about anything with their family. And I see that happening. I mean, you managed to hang out with a lot of liberals. All of my liberal friends have just cut me loose.
Only one. I only lost one friend over Trump, and it was a conservative who hated Trump. It was a never Trumper. And the funny thing about that one was, he broke up with me. I didn't break up with him as a friend. The funny thing was, the entire rest of the circle of my friends hated him, and we're always, do you have to invite him? And I said, oh no, he's funny, come on, be nice. Well, that problem solved.
Solved it himself. No, but Dan pointed out that this is how it's very insidious. What they've done is they have censored any kind of dialogue by just branding us with these names. And because I say to him, it's like water off a duck's back when they call me a racist. I don't care. And he said, yeah, but you're not the average American. Right. It is very hurtful, and it is, and it makes them immediately go to that shame place, and then they turn on the TV and there's some guy named Beto O'Rourke apologizing for being white, or who was it? Gillibrand going around the country telling white women that you have privilege, you have to teach your children that they have privilege. What is that all about? Go to Appalachia and tell those white women they got privilege.
No, it's fantastic. Though I do think, who knows how people react, since the whole point is we don't know. They withdraw into themselves. But I have noticed a lot of my favorite people that I follow on Twitter are young white male recent college graduates, and they're very funny. And peppy. And my sense of it is that they just went through 4 years of college listening to white privilege, and a lot of them don't come from privileged backgrounds, and white this and white that, and everything is racist and microaggressions and blah blah blah. Oh, and they're guilty of rape for asking a girl for a date, that whole thing, the sexual harassment reign of terror, and they just get through college keeping their mouths shut. But inside they're coming up with really funny jokes. that they then send out on Twitter under various anonymous accounts.
Listen, they got to fight back. All right, we got to take a quick break. Ann Coulter in the house, and we are going to be talking about everything, including President Trump and whether or not she is still on the outs with him. We'll be right back. I got to tell you, my kids finally just totally became Ann Coulter fans now, because Ann had an article in Billboard magazine, I think it was, that she was a Deadhead. And of course, my daughter was conceived at a Dead concert. And for her high school graduation, other kids went to Europe. She followed the Dead the last year that Jerry was alive.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So when she read this article that you were a Deadhead, she completely, first she called me, then she sent me the article, and she was delirious. She said, okay, now it makes sense that you're friends. I said, it wasn't based on that, but okay.
She's the one in San Francisco.
She is, with the dog poop everywhere. No, it's human poop.
Right, right.
I got to go out there. But so what's your big words to the audience about Donald Trump right now? Because we see him doing some things, doing whatever he can. Are you still really mad at him?
Well, I'm concerned, as Madeleine Albright changed the title of terrorist countries to nations of concern.
Right.
He is a president of concern. I do feel like this is like the last 14 months we can get him to do anything. So we need to keep the pressure on him. He does want to get reelected, but I'm worried that having frittered away, I'm concerned, having frittered away the first 3 years, and he did, and it was bad, that he's let down enough of his supporters. I mean, that was a miracle. I was reading through it was a miracle win. I should finish my sentence. I was reading through, looking up something else, but I was reading through transcripts that, cable news transcripts on the election, the Republican primaries back in 2015. And oh my gosh, he was good. What a wonderful time to be alive that was.
It was.
The whole low energy, the attack on Fox News and Megyn Kelly. There was one really hilarious line he had. No, he's always been a good talker. But then, he did turn his administration over to Mitch McConnell and Reince Priebus, and we got more of the same thing.
But he took it back.
Well, look, I hope we can get what we need out of him in the next 14 months. I'm not wildly optimistic about his reelection.
Really?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm more convinced than I ever was. You can go on Bill Maher's show and say that this is going to be an unparalleled win. Trust me. The
incumbent tends to win. The Democrats are doing everything they can to lose it. Those are the things that mostly give me hope, because I don't know, I think it'd be pretty bad if any of the Democrats win.
People were afraid to say they were voting for Donald Trump the first time. Now they're terrified to say it.
That's true.
So these polls mean nothing.
I'm not necessarily trusting the polls.
African-American voters for Trump is way up, Ann. Trust me, this is a community that is not going to say it out loud, but you're looking at these films out of Newark and other places. They're not voting for Cory Booker there.
No, well, I don't think anybody's voting for Cory Booker.
He's in the debate.
Even Cory Booker isn't voting for Cory Booker.
What happened to Marianne Williamson? I guess she just...
I'm going to miss her.
I know. That's what Hobo says. She was the most fun that we had. Anyway, I hope you'll come back after the hurricane or something.
Yes.
Because we got short.
Maybe during the hurricane.
You might. Hey, listen, we'll do it. In the meantime, I thank you for your time this time until next time, and I will be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock, if it be his will and he delays his coming. What lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. So wherever you are, just be yourself. Everybody else is taken. Thank you, Hobo. Thank you for listening. Thank you to my friend Ann Coulter. But most of all, thank you. Thank you for listening. You are what's made this show go on for 29 years. One more year, that's all I'm asking.